Welcome to Get Moving TV. I'm Dr. Chris Landon and I serve as your host. The miracle of what happens here at Ventura Adult Continuing Education, people I don't think understand the jewel that we have here. We have a number of guests who are just amazed as they walk in here at the facilities. One of the things that we really came up with the fire recently is the lack of local radio, the lack of local communication, and really letting people know what's here in Ventura County. One way around this has been Facebook. We saw a lot of things on Facebook as to what houses were on fire and where to get your horse cared for. But the other thing is we have the ability to podcast. And so that's really what we want to build up here and really to the point of making it something that can be an enhancement to what happens here at Ventura Adult Continuing Education. One of the people I've worked with is the Steve Neal Galleries, SNG, and Mary Cacciapaglia, who's with me today, said, we've got all these great people visiting the studio and I want something for myself. So how did you get started on thinking about podcasting?
Well, we have this gallery and I'm always a videographer. I have the camera in front of me and it's always doing somebody else. So I thought I needed my voice to be heard also. And we have so many amazing friends that have done amazing things that I would bring people in and we would listen to their story. We started off in the car. We were coming down the Conejo grade and we had just left our first visit to Rancho Conejo to see Steve fly his airplanes. And I said, well, this is a great place to start. So I got my iPhone out with the voice memo and started.
So everybody's got an iPhone, of course, and one of the things that we see are, those fancy TV studios with the huge mics and things to keep you from popping into the mic. So I know you wanted to take it to the next level. How did you go about finding podcasting equipment?
Well, I'm quite the shopper. And so I I did my research first on the internet to see what equipment I needed. And then I went to Amazon like everybody else does. And there's a great place called B&H, I think it's Video.
Photo and Video.
Photo and yes. Video in New Jersey or New York. And I went ahead and what I couldn't find at a good price on Amazon, I got from them. And they kind of, one will have a good price and then the other one, you have to really do your shopping and compare.
So how many mics, what kind of setup do you have? Is it for one person, two people?
Well, we decided since we have friends, we go for four people. So we have 4 mics, 4 headsets, and I got a nice Behringer mixer that would accommodate that with, for the headphones, I got an amplifier that plugs into the mixer and we're good to go.
So your friends, since I go by, I try to get by there for at least tea on Tuesday. Who are some of the people that you anticipate having on your show and where were you going to find this show? So who's coming on? Who stops by?
We have, of course, Steve Neal.
Yes.
And then
Monster Maker of the Stars.
Yes. And we have people like Darren Doctorman, Doug Drexler. We have a local counselor, Kia Murty, that's going to be on. V. Neal, the famous makeup artist. I can't even think of all the people.
So Adam Strange stops by to pick things up, I know. And so you just see the people who drop in there, it's kind of like coffee and karaoke or monsters and something. I don't know quite what.
Yeah, and it's best to drop in on Tuesday because otherwise you're going to be following us around the studio watching what we're doing. There won't be any tea. So
you have a break on, where is it that you, I know there's a subscription service where people can watch Steve make his models. What subscription service is that?
Okay, that is patreon.com. And that's also Steve Neal's Garage or SNG Studio. And if you just look up Steve Neal, that'll work.
So that'd be your camera work, and then...
And that's my camera work. And then I started hosting, having a host called Podbean. And then that got populated and I'm now on iTunes. Oh. So you can find me either place.
Well, that's the hard part too. We have somebody coming on just a little bit later who has commercials from Geico and all that. So how do you get started monetizing these things?
Well, I'm not going to monetize it for a while. I want to keep it free to build a following. And after I build a following, then I may have some commercial on it, an intro and outro. And that way I could make a little money that way. But I'm not going to charge anybody for the podcast because who's Mary Cacciapaglia? Who's SNG now? I mean, you need to get out there first. And that's, pretty much my philosophy.
So, and then you also had to try and choose SoundCloud versus Podbean. So how do you go about choosing a
Well, I
provider?
am a researchaholic. And so I went to every comparison site and compared, I don't even know how many, until I found the one that has the most views, the one that has made the most money, and that's why I picked Podbean. I was going to go with Spreaker, but when I did a comparison, Podbean was a little better, and it was also less expensive. And if I want to change over to video as well, they'll host video. So that's pretty much why I picked Podbean.
So how am I going to find you on Podbean? Do I?
Put my name in.
Okay, so underneath.
You can put in Mary Cacciapaglia, or you can put in SNG Now. And if you're on iTunes, you can look up SNG Now.
And then in terms of number of followers, you read, somebody has 10. I think I have 3 followers on Instagram, so that's a
I have, as
triangle,
of
I guess.
the past 3 weeks, I have a whopping, I think it was 5 followers.
Oh my God, that's a cult for heaven's
Oh my
sakes.
gosh.
Yeah.
But if you look at the downloads, which is how many people have listened, I have about 40 or 50. So I think I'm doing pretty well for a beginner.
And then iTunes, do they have a magic number where I know they've been trying to change things around. They
Well,
want 10,000 followers,
it's not the followers so much. On iTunes, you have to have the photo that you put up be a certain dimension. It has to be square and a certain dimension, and not real busy because they can make them really tiny. And they, in order to approve you, they want about 3 shows. And then you upload all 3 shows, and then they'll approve you and you're good to go.
Well, that sounds great. Mary, you put a lot of work into this. And I really hope that as we have students who come through here, that they'll be able to stop by SNG Studios, Mary Cacciapaglia's podcasting show, and get a feel, because you'll be far advanced by the time all this comes around. So thank you so much for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing your show.
Thank you so much.
Ventura, we'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm Dr. Chris Landon. I'm here with Mike Anderson. What happens here in Ventura County, we have so many resources for our community, one of which is, of course, the Rotary, the Ventura downtown friendliest Rotary in all of the world. And so when people make the mistake of sitting next to me, of course, they're immediately going to get roped into something that I'm doing. Not always sure how we're going to connect them up, but we will connect them up. So, Mike, welcome to Get Moving TV. And so one of the things I was talking about was this VACE X that we want to do around podcasting and teaching podcasting. And he said, well, I podcast. So tell me a little bit about your business now, and then Rotary, and then podcasting, and we'll.
Sure.
Because Mary's just starting out while you've been at it for a while.
Yeah. My business, I'm a financial planner. I own a financial planning firm. And as a byproduct of doing that and trying to reach people and brand the company and myself, I thought it would be interesting to start a podcast or a radio program. And it was interesting because I took a little bit of a unique approach. I started with radio. And I wanted that because I felt like, number one, they would help with the production side. And then I could take the audio file and put it into a podcast. And so I didn't have to learn a lot of the things that I'm starting to learn now which is those technical things that your previous speaker was talking about with the different hosting sites and the different tools and things you need to buy. But the radio program helped me with that. And so I just wanted to have that, though, to brand the firm. But quickly, I learned it wasn't about my company, Maranatha Financial. It was more about the community. And so the show itself is a 30-minute program. It's called Big Money in the 805. We have a feature interview each week, a nonprofit spotlight each week, and then a piece of news or financial information for 2 to 5 minutes. So
we have your website running underneath this right now. So tell me maybe about your last show and who your guest was and what you're trying to do for the community. Of course,
sure.
It's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, the most recent show I just had a baseball program, the author of the Cultural Encyclopedia of Baseball, Jonathan Light. He lives in Camarillo, and he wrote this phenomenal book. It's huge. It's had 2 editions, but it's called the Cultural Encyclopedia of Baseball. It's all about stories and things like that he's acquired over the years. He's read over 1,000 books to try and grab information about baseball, put it together. Where did the 7th inning stretch come from? How long have we been singing the Star Spangled Banner before games? It wasn't always that way. When did radio get involved with baseball? When did television get involved with baseball? If you think about it, it's been around longer than those mediums have been around. So the game has evolved as mediums have changed. I think we're seeing that now. And podcasting in some ways is a newer medium. And I think more and more people are embracing it. It's not that difficult to embrace. And so hopefully there will be more of that in the future. I believe that there will. And it gives everyone a voice.
So what I've been talking about earlier was just we had this emergency called the Ventura Fire. Were you able to do anything around the Ventura Fire? How did your podcasting?
Yeah, when the Thomas Fire came through quickly, it was interesting because of my relationship with the radio program. I kind of went into reporter on the street mode, and so the day of the fire, Monday night when the fire hit, Tuesday morning I was up and I was in the hills videoing and doing some recordings for to try and get information out, because it was a really unique time where there was not a lot of information. The power was out. There were news stations from LA coming in, and they didn't really understand that everyone was evacuated, not knowing what was going on through the night. And so it was interesting, but I quickly got engaged, and through that had people in the studio on the radio program itself for the whole station, but also on my program. I had people involved. I had the CEO of the Red Cross. He was on. The Community Foundation got $400,000. The CEO of the Community Foundation for Ventura County, she came on. A number of other people, Sheriff Jeff Dean, the Fire Chief, David Ndaya came on. Just a number of folks. This Thomas Fire Help, the 2 creators of that, they came on the program. So it quickly became a medium to try and help promote more information for folks. And in general, what's happening, where are we at, what's the status? And I think you're right, that's lacking a little bit. But podcasting and the way that we distribute information now is changing so quickly. I think content that's good can be escalated very quickly. And I think we'll see more of that in the future.
So, Clear Light or whoever bought up all those stations, and boy, you have to be exactly the same in Oregon as you are in Arkansas. You've lost all that local flavor, but also the local emergency information. Well, now post-fire, Dale Jecke is the one from Far West Construction is the one who really lured me into Rotary slowly but surely. And we were talking just, I'd stuccoed my house and I've got nice glass there and I've been clearing it. I goes, 725 degrees, glass melts. So your house is on fire too, Chris.
Right.
So, and then just the people were underinsured, hadn't planned for this. They hadn't videoed all the things that were in their houses. Their cars had all their valuables, so people knew to target those. A woman had brought in a trailer from Colorado, was saving horses. No, she was kidnapping horses and selling them elsewhere. So.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
I hadn't heard that one.
It's a good. Well, our neighborhood, we had looters popping garages and the like. So have you been able to offer any post Thomas Fire kinds of help? How to get public adjusters involved and
Yeah, we've had actually we had for the city of Ventura, where they were hit the hardest with over 500 homes. There's over 1,000 in total in the county and in Santa Barbara County. But Jeff Lambert, who's the community development director, he was on the program. We brought in an architect and also a contractor to talk about the rebuild process. And I think that was a helpful show, helpful information to distribute out to people that are wondering about it. We also had someone that was talking more about some of the community meetings, where we go from here, how we get organized. Courtney Lindbergh from the city of Ventura, they had this disaster recovery site. So she was talking about what they're doing there. At one point during the Montecito mudslides, they're bringing all this mud south on the 101 at the fairgrounds, huge mud piles. And so she was talking about, about that, and it just kind of trying to continue to update people with information that they're curious about is a valuable thing. And when I look at who I can have as a guest on the show, I've had very warm response when I ask someone if they want to be on the show. Usually I get a good response, a positive response back. And so I felt like empowered me to ask some people that maybe normally I wouldn't ask. So as a result of the Thomas Fire and that benefit concert they did, Kevin Costner came on my program. And it was real nice to have him on the program. We talked about the benefit concert, and at the time he was trying to get people to buy a ticket to it. It eventually sold out. But our show talked a lot about him growing up here and how important that is to him and how special that is to him. And it was really neat. It was actually very touching, some of the information he was talking about, because it was growing up here, so it had that nostalgic feeling about Ventura, but it also, anyone that grew up anywhere felt like a kid again in the childhood that he had, that you could relate to in so many ways, building forts, pulling nails out of wood, just having fun. And it was really neat. It was good.
So how do you connect across social media there? So are you Instagramming, and you have your website, and then you have a channel that people can listen to, and YouTube. So how do you cross all those media?
Yeah.
And how many followers do you have, or downloads do you have?
Well, it is tough. I mean, there's a lot of layers to this. Mm-hmm. So you don't just start and then you have it all going, hitting on all cylinders. So to anyone that's thinking about doing podcasting or getting involved, you just start with square one, figure out the content you're trying to create to share, and then you can build a layer on top of that. And I'm to the point where I started with the radio, but now when I do a show, I have 3 cameras on me. I have a mixer mixing. I have we have ads running in the video. We have an intro video. We have an exit video. We have commercials inside the video, and they're all videoing me doing a radio show. So it's very unique that you could add these layers to it over time, and it's just something that kind of evolves. But as far as followers, it's hard to say. Radio doesn't give you good data of what's following you. So Nielsen does their reports, and we really don't know as far as the radio side. And then as far as podcast, you can go and get some data in terms of that. And as far as social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, all of those are things that are important to build, and it does take time. Right now with Facebook, and it's been less than a year that I've had this program going, but I have something like over 500 followers on just the show's Facebook site. And a lot of those came because of what they saw with what I was doing with the Thomas Fire, and they wanted more information. That's when they came to me. But it's not easy. I mean, it's a slow grind to get those followers on those channels, and it's work. It's definitely a little work.
We put Get Moving TV goes up on YouTube, so you'll be able to take your clip and put it on there, or whoever else you find of interest. And we have one show, education of a neurosurgeon. We had a neurosurgeon come in and just talk about how many years of school it took, and that's had over 60,000 hits across 17 different countries, because if you're in China and everywhere, and so I see the same here. People were curious in England as to what in the world was happening here. We are more of a focus than we think.
Yeah.
Well, let me just circle back to when I listened to the show, because you're kind enough to let me know ahead of time there. Geico was on there. So did they owe you, or you owe them, or they really see this as they're dipping their toe in the podcasting water?
Well, and it's interesting. I think Geico, I mean, I tip my hat to Geico for agreeing to be a sponsor. And the way that comes about is you have to ask. You have to go ask, and you have to say, here's the, and I had them before I physically had a show. But what they wanted was they wanted to know, where's it going to be, who's going to hear it, how many people are going to hear it, and they have all the data. I mean, this is a big company, Geico, so they know what they're looking for, and if I can fit in their parameter, then they'll buy. And so just from the way of having it on the radio first, that's what allowed them to see the credibility that there will be listeners and that they could have an ad on the show, and they will pay for it. And that helps subsidize the cost for having the radio. So it really helped me to kind of carry the show with the expense that it has on the radio, because that costs, you know, the radio station has costs.
Yes.
So, you know, so that the radio show added that credibility to get more sponsors, whereas if you're just starting out from zero in a podcast, it's going to be difficult to get sponsors, but you can still find them. And the thing I always tell businesses, I've got another 4 sponsors that have come on, and the thing I tell them, what's unique and different now is radio is just radio. It plays once and it's gone. A podcast, it's archived in iTunes, and and you can get it in Google Play. You can get it in all these different places for forever. It's there. And if there's a piece during that interview that they really liked, like say I'm even interviewing one of my sponsors or something like that, we can clip that piece out, and then we could turn that into something that they're able to reuse on one of their social media channels or websites, digital marketing, to help them promote and accelerate things that they're doing, which is the whole purpose of the ad anyway. So nobody else is really doing that right now from just radio. So I feel like it's, you know, it's helping businesses be more savvy about marketing, but also digital marketing. So, you know, and I think that's part of the future. I think that's what a good business is doing good already, you know, so.
Yeah, we have a low power FM station in Radio Indigena, and it's 94.1 on your FM dial. But again, sponsors are looking, okay, you can almost make it to Santa Paula. You're in Oxnard, parts of Ventura. How many ears are listening? Are there 30,000 ears? And the second you put on internet, it's everywhere. So now it's in Delano, it's in Mexico, it's everywhere. So that really widens it out. But how to keep that monetizing the production? Because you've made a big investment in terms of video and radio and so forth. So I'm hoping that you're able to break even, because we really love what you're doing for the community itself.
Well, thank you. And that's been a big part of it too. I think I won't say that I've broken even with the cost that I've put into it, and definitely not when you look at the time that I've put into it as well. But that was never the goal, really. You know, it was more like I said, with my financial planning firm, to try and brand the firm. But I quickly found out I don't like talking about financial planning on the radio. It's too self-serving, and that's just not a fit. That's not my voice. But I've always been more connected to the community. So to have a 20-minute interview with someone prominent in the community has been very, very much more natural to who I am. So that's come a lot easier, and it's just more fun.
Well, Mike, thank you so much for sharing what you've learned, hard-won learning, and what you do with Rotary and for the community. So, Ventura, we're going to be right back. Ventura, welcome back. I have Ronnie Necessary here with me today. Ronnie is a YouTube star who I've known for quite a long time. So tell us a little bit about your YouTube career, and then we'll go backwards and see where you're going to school.
My YouTube channel is called Dude Number A. It's spelled like I put Dude Number A as my channel name just because I thought it was funny.
So Dude Number 8 is?
A.
Oh, Dude Number A, I see.
Yeah.
So what school do you go to now, Ronnie?
I go to De Anza Middle School, or they call it DATA now, and that's supposed to be an abbreviation for De Anza Academy of Technology and the Arts.
Now, there was a time when De Anza was a school where every child got left behind, and they really put it together to bring in the technology and the arts. did you learn about YouTube at school itself, or is this something you started on
I
your
knew
own?
about it before.
And so are you, so on YouTube, are you one of these wild gamers screaming and,
I don't scream much, but I do play a lot of video games on my YouTube channel.
and so are you the engineer for all this? Are you the one who turns it on and off and?
I'm the
makes
guy
it-
who makes the videos and edits everything. It's really just me.
So
And they're not really that like
complex?
complex. I just make the video and post it.
So, but they get you and your personality and all your craziness is due day there. So, how did you learn? Is this something that you learned through school, or you went to YouTube and saw videos about how to
I've
do it?
been
or-
watching YouTube a lot. I usually watch cat videos.
Uh-huh.
And then I started watching the video game channels. And I learned that I can make my own YouTube channel really easily. So I just went ahead and with my parents' permission, I made my own YouTube channel. And now I'm dude number A.
So, dude number A, how many hits? Because are you getting? How many people watch your channel?
Not a lot right now. It's kind of a small channel.
All right, so it sounds like we need to hook you up with some of these other people. Well, Ventura, you've heard about podcasting, you're seeing the future. My 13-year-old young friend here who's learned all about YouTube, has his own crazy YouTube channel. You're going to see and listen to everybody's as we edit these things in. So, Ventura, we have needs in our community. We need to let everyone know what's in our community. We have schools of technology and arts. We've got financial planners who really see how important the community is and bring in resources. So, Ventura, it's time for you to get moving.
Get moving.
And cut.